Food fraud's links to animal welfare. We all love to imagine the animals we eat have had happy lives strolling in green fields or swimming in sparkling oceans before they ended up on our plates. But those of us who've seen the conditions some food animals endure know better. Consumers too are increasingly aware of the welfare issues in animal food production. Issues like tiny cages in egg-laying operations, sow stalls and farrowing crates in pig farms, heat stress in cattle feedlots, and diseases in fish farms. We care about the animals we eat, and some of us seek out foods that have been produced with animal welfare consideration. Foods like pasture-raised chickens, grass-fed beef, sow stall-free pork, wild-caught salmon, free-range eggs, and cruelty-free foie gras. No doubt you've heard of these foods produced with animal welfare considerations, but you might not have heard about this one, ablation-free shrimp. I heard about it for the first time last week. If you're a paying subscriber, you might have seen my Food Fraud Horizon scanning note about it then. Ablation-free shrimp are farmed shrimp that have been raised without being subject to the, frankly, horrific-sounding practice of eye stalk ablation. This month, a major British retailer made a commitment to use only ablation-free shrimp in its products from now. This is great news for shrimp, right? But it's perhaps not such good news for consumers and ethical business owners, because welfare claims for animal food are an opportunity for criminals to profit. Eye stalk ablation involves removing one or both eye stalks from female prawns to stimulate ovarian development and increase egg production. It's been widely used in the shrimp aquaculture industry since the 1970s. The process typically involves cutting off one eye stalk using scissors or razor blades, which can result in the female prawn laying up to 10 times more eggs, perhaps because of the presence of hormone secretion glands in the eye stalks, which prevent ovarian development when shrimp are kept in captivity. The procedure is often performed without anesthesia. Youch! Non-ablation shrimp farming is more expensive because larger broodstock populations and more resources are required. The problem with welfare-related claims like ablation-free or grass-fed is that they are impossible for consumers to verify. Such trust-based claims are often called credence claims. Consumers expect to pay more for foods with welfare claims. Free-range eggs in Canada, for example, were 70% more expensive than cage eggs in 2022. When consumers and customers pay more for foods with credence claims, this creates food fraud vulnerabilities. There have been countless incidents in which unscrupulous egg sellers have supplied cage eggs labelled as free-range, like one in Australia which resulted in a $300,000 penalty for the supplier, and one in Singapore in 2021. Of course, there are links, as always, to those in the email and the post. The same vulnerabilities apply to grass-fed beef, wild-caught salmon, and now, perhaps, ablation-free shrimp. So if such shrimp are vulnerable to false claims, does that mean I don't think the major British retailer will stay true to their word about the welfare status of their shrimp? No, not at all. I trust that retailer because they have a valuable brand and they risk damaging it if they are caught misleading consumers. They also have enough technical resources and expertise to keep a close eye on their supply chain. If big retail brands are not likely to commit food fraud with false animal welfare claims, which businesses are likely? Which places are most likely to supply, for example, traditionally raised shrimp with ablation-free claims? We don't know, of course. That's the nature of food fraud, but other seafood frauds have typically been more prevalent in independent restaurants and small stores compared to major retailers and big brands, noting small outlets may themselves be the victims of fraud by their suppliers. A final difficulty is that foods marketed with false claims about animal welfare are rarely targeted by authorities for enforcement because they don't represent as great a risk to food safety as other fraud-affected foods. Takeaways for food professionals. Credence claims, which include animal welfare claims, greatly increase the vulnerability of a food to food fraud. Food frauds in which the perpetrator labels a conventionally raised animal food with a special welfare claim like a free range or grass-fed are high profit, easy to perpetrate, and when the customer is a business with few technical resources or a consumer, unlikely to be detected. These factors make such frauds attractive to criminals. Potential frauds like this are rarely the subject of official investigations or enforcement actions because resources are mostly directed towards frauds that can pose food safety risks. In short, animal welfare claims are easy to fake and difficult to detect, making them attractive to food fraud perpetrators. Foods supplied by major retailers with valuable brands and technical resources are less likely to be affected by false claims related to animal welfare than small independent outlets and restaurants. And as always, all the sources for all of the things that I just said can be found in the email and the post. And in this case, they are hyperlinked within the body of the text. So look for the hyperlinks. If you're looking to get access to the email and the post and you're listening on a podcast app, you can access that through the show notes.